Hi there and welcome to Capital View. The horrific mob lynching in Dadri has raised several troubling questions about inter-community relations. How can we claw ourselves out of the deeply polarized atmosphere we find ourselves in? How can the wounds between Hindus and Muslims be healed? Joining us on that question, Rakesh Sinha, RSS Ideologue and academic, Ajoy Bose, senior journalist and commentator, Sadia Dehlvi, writer. Thanks everyone very much for being here. Rakesh Sinha, would you concede that the Dadri lynching is a black spot on the centre's commitment to uphold the constitution, to protect minorities, to protect equality between citizens, that it is really a black spot on this government?
It is definitely a black spot, but I disagree with your assumption that it is on centre's commitment. Centre has the commitment, but the law and order is the state issue. And I think Uttar Pradesh has completely failed in the law and order. Uttar Pradesh is the only state which is orderless state. Law cannot be applied in any state where there is no order.
No, assuming that the Samajwadi Party government is culpable in not upholding law and order, what about the way the Sangh Parivar outfits are behaving? You know, you have Sadhvi Prachi going there, you have the utterances of Sakshi Maharaj saying, we will kill and be killed to protect the cow.
I think
you have other ministers who are saying that, you know, inside I feel trembling if somebody insults the cow. Sangeet Som, your party colleague, has gone there. Sakshi Maharaj is making statements. Sanjeev Balian is making statements. So have the utterances of the individuals of the Sangh Parivar not deeply polarized what is already a very dangerous situation?
Sagarika, your second assumption is also wrong. I think that the mob which did this crime, committed this crime, has been condemned by each and every individual from the Sangh Parivar in Bharatiya Janata Party. You are quoting certain statements.
But the Union Minister for Culture said it was an accident.
You are quoting certain statements. Look, there can be different assessment of the incident, but nobody is justifying that incident, and I condemn that incident, and nobody can justify that statement. Selective quoting of certain individual doesn't mean that.
No, but then where is the condemnation coming from the government?
No, the Home Minister has condemned it. Arun Jaitley has condemned it. Senior leaders have condemned it. RSS leader Manmohan Vaidya has distanced RSS from that kind of any kind of discourse like that.
Has there been enough condemnation from the union government?
Lynching was a local crime. That is a communal crime, but a local crime. The Uttar Pradesh government has transferred this crime to the national discourse, and that is the national discourse, which is a kind of to hide that the shame of the government, that lawlessness.
Why blame the union government? Is there a disproportionate reaction? Are we having a disproportionate reaction because Dadri is near Delhi and so therefore we are disproportionately reacting?
That incident
where the minorities
there is a consensus in the civil society. There is a consensus in civil society.
There's a pattern
across the ideology and political party that such incidents should not have taken place, and everyone should condemn that, and everyone is condemning that. It is exceptional that you are asking that Prime Minister should make the statement. Why Prime Minister should jump here?
You know, I think that we must realize that there is a context to what happened at Dadri. And I think that it would be wrong to see it purely as a matter of a minority or a Hindu-Muslim clash. Because just before Dadri, there was a controversy about the meat ban. And I can tell you that for the first time, vast sections of the urban intelligentsia, even the upwardly mobile urban middle classes, there is a deepening sense of disquiet at not some trampling of human rights so much as is there an agenda?
Infringement of freedom.
Is there an agenda to change the way we live? The idea that is India, where we have many choices, and I'll tell you why this has happened, is not just what happened at Dadri. Far worse things, let us face it, have happened before. Far more communal incidents have happened. But why is it coming at the wave of series of incidents? And it is compounded by the statements and responses of not just some lunatic fringe.
Ministers,
but
union ministers.
Let me just recount. The culture minister is actually making a statement saying that his soul, his inner soul quivers when it comes to beef. Giriraj Pichot Singh, another minister, says that if elections if Bihar elections are won by Nitish and Lalu, they will force people to eat beef.
There is growing fear and mistrust. If I can just take off from what Ajoy and Sadia are saying, there's growing fear and mistrust that sections of this government, and it's coming right from the very top, want to impose a Hindu majoritarian cultural agenda.
As far as cow is concerned, coalition of forces in India advocated for banning on beef. It is not BJP and RSS. Jayaprakash Narayan in 1966 wrote letter to Indira Gandhi. Jayaprakash Narayan was a socialist. And Vinoba Bhave sat on an indefinite hunger strike in 1979 when Morarji Desai had to intervene. Let me
That's cow
come.
slaughter. But in this case, a man has been killed for simply rumors that he was eating beef. Nowhere in India is eating beef illegal.
I say even if he was eating beef, nobody has right to kill a person.
Yes.
I am telling you, nobody has right to kill that person.
It's not a crime, it's perfectly legal.
RSS has made it ample clear that nobody has right to kill anybody even if he is doing something wrong. It is law which has to take its own course. Second thing I am telling you, the Sadhi Prachi.
No, how is it wrong? It's perfectly legal.
Sadhi Prachi has nothing to do with this Sangh Parivar. She is doing independently.
Sakshi Maharaj is a member of parliament of BJP.
You got the statement.
He's a member of parliament of BJP. Sanjeev Balyan is a minister. Sanjeev Balyan is a minister.
I have two instances. Look, they are the people.
Yogi Adityanath is a minister. He's a member of parliament.
I am not endorsing their statements, but at the same time, I want to attract your attention that in Uttar Pradesh, a few days ago, a girl was killed by her father because she was not covering her head. There is no news in the media. Secondly, a Dalit woman was killed. Thirdly, a boy was protecting cow, a mob attacked and he was killed. A police inspector was attacked by the mob when he was protecting cow. So there is a reaction among certain section of people that government as well as media is doing discrimination of the Hindus. And I think this must be addressed by the media. I think secularist media must address that.
I'll come to that. I'll come to that issue in just a bit.
All what you said is wrong. I mean, everything
all of that is wrong, and I'll
condemned.
come to that in just a bit, that perhaps the secularists have lost the moral high ground because of selective outrage. So I want to ask you, Sadia, that are sections of the Muslim community also perhaps victims of a fear psychosis, victims of what is known as secular blackmail, that they don't want to reach out in any way to the Hindutva forces, they don't want to have any kind of dialogue with the Hindutva forces? Are the Hindutva forces being demonized by sections of the Muslim community? Is that also reality?
I'll tell you, growing up, today is the first time that I'm sitting with, on the same table with the RSS Ideologue. Yes, there is fear. When I grew up, we used to say in hushed whispers about, say, some politician, he's from the RSS. It was not something we even dared to even talk publicly and, amongst us. So, yes, of course, there's a fear. And I think a lot of that fear has a concrete ground. I mean, it's not like it's completely baseless.
The fear has concrete ground. The problem is that Mr. Modi speaks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. He is speaking of Vikas, but there are these ministers who are speaking constantly of Hindu majoritarian agenda. That's the problem.
It's the politics.
Let me address that Muslims fear from RSS. This is not one-day phenomena. I think politics of perception has been the core of secularist politics. They created a perception about the RSS. And your question was very pertinent and fundamental, that you kept the Muslims away from the RSS, projecting as an imaginary enemy, that if RSS will come into the power, you will be finished. You will be thrown out in the Arabian Sea.
But what else are they supposed to assume when these kind of statements are made?
RSS should also extend and try and reach out to the Muslims.
I can quote hundreds of the statements of the Congress leader and Samajwadi leader and the Muslim League leader. Like Owaisi is being glorified as a secular leader.
He's not in power.
No.
He's not the prime minister.
What I disagree with Ajay Da, that there should not be difference between majority communalism and minority communalism. Both communalism are dangerous. I think both when you are making a discrimination, that is a old tradition of Subhadra Joshi. Making discrimination, I am reminding you, 1968. In 1968, there was a second conference against communalism, and Subhadra Joshi made this distinction. Then D. Sanjeevaiah.
No, why isn't someone like a Sakshi Maharaj sacked? Why isn't Sakshi Maharaj sacked?
Let me complete.
Someone who says that we will kill to protect cow.
This is very important
how can he continue as a member of parliament? He should be sacked.
Jayaprakash Narayan and D. Sanjeevaiah condemned Subhadra Joshi for making discrimination
No,
between
but at the
majority and
moment,
minority.
should the credibility of this government not rest on how it deals with these people who are speaking in this way? So why should a Sakshi Maharaj continue as member of parliament?
I think credibility of the government depends on Narendra Modi, Arun Jaitley, Rajnath Singh. These are senior leaders, not because there are certain leaders who are making a statement. They are reacting and they are polemical statement. I don't take it very seriously. They are polemical statement about the cow and cow slaughter.
Let's take a short break at this point. Let's take a short break at this point. When we come back, we will talk about the credibility of the Prime Minister and whether this has become a test case for this government. Must the Prime Minister speak out if he needs to restore his diminishing credibility after the Dadri lynching? That's after the break. Welcome back to Capital View. In the aftermath of the horrific lynching in Dadri, how can relations between communities be repaired? How can the wounds be healed? Ajoy Bose, we were talking earlier about the Prime Minister needing to speak, and Rakesh Sinha was saying, well, the Prime Minister does not have to speak because A, this is a routine crime, but on the other hand, we should judge this government by Arun Jaitley, by Rajnath Singh and Narendra Modi, and not by Sakshi Maharaj and Sadhvi Prachi and Mahesh Sharma and the others.
Sagarika, the Prime Minister must speak out, not just to sort of reassure and restore the faith of the Muslim minority or other minorities. He needs to speak out to restore the faith of everybody in this country, including 80% Hindus. I'll tell you that there is a fear that India, civilizationally and politically what it was, there is some attempt to change it. All of us are a little worried about this.
We never grew up in an atmosphere like this.
All of us are worried about it. And I think it's very, very important. It's very important for the Prime Minister.
Let me respond
No, just a minute. It is very important for the Prime Minister to reassure everybody that although cow slaughter is one of the many issues which the BJP as a party may be worried about, it is not a central issue. It is not a major issue. It is not an issue which all his ministers need to talk about and make such this thing. We are completely getting diverted in going backwards instead of going forward. We need to look at issues which should take us forward.
We need to, and the only person who can shift that, who can bring that back, is the Prime Minister. But again, I have to come down to the kind of leadership that is there in both communities, and are both communities suffering from a deficit of leadership? So there are no bridge builders left. I mean, you know, Rakesh Sinha brought up Asaduddin Owaisi. Now, is Asaduddin Owaisi someone who is simply playing on the fierce psychosis of Muslims, on Muslim identity, on Muslim issues, and therefore not a bridge builder? So is the Muslim community being ill-served by his leadership also?
Well, I don't think all the Muslims are following Asaduddin Owaisi. The Muslims have, been voting like the mainstream, sometimes in UP for Samajwadi, sometimes for Congress. A lot of Muslim vote has gone to the BJP. So I don't believe in, having a Muslim leadership or a Hindu leadership. I think that goes against the very grain of India.
Is that the problem in a way, Ajoy Bose, that both sides of the divide is a dialogue of the deaf?
But when you
that the moderate voices on both sides are being marginalized.
The way the Muslim community, and I call them an orphan community after partition, because it never had any leadership. I mean, if you compare them to the Dalits produced, Ambedkar, Kanshiram, Mayawati. And so they had leadership.
No, because the Muslims always relied on secular leadership.
The Muslims after partition, if they want, see, after partition, those who stayed back in India were dependent on a secular leadership.
Yeah.
What could they do?
We put our faith in
the secular leadership, unfortunately,
has failed us.
Has either exploited them as vote banks,
absolutely,
or poor chaps, I feel very sorry, or they've been bashed up as Pakistani agents.
When this massive mandate of 2014 was given, I mean, this was a massive mandate. It was given for good governance. It was given for progress and going forward. Now, surely this mandate was not for ghar wapasi and love jihad and cultural agenda. Is there really a problem? Because there are elements within the ruling establishment now who, now that you're in power, want to impose a cultural agenda, which India didn't vote for.
Where the cultural agenda is being imposed, the government is doing its own job. On the FDI front, on the development front, the government is doing its job. As far as the
RSS ideology is important to the RSS
has been in the existence since 1925, and RSS cannot shut its door because the BJP has come into the power. And RSS is a social force to be reckoned with. If you are excluding RSS from the discourse, in the past.
No, but is the RSS using this opportunity to impose its
now
agenda?
RSS is being hurt. RSS is being attracted by the other people, and RSS has a large social base, and it's RSS social base which is making impact. What I am going to add
the
here,
RSS also has a right to be heard.
I am going to
absolutely. I
yeah.
have no problem.
Of course.
And it's very
But
good. Let the RSS come forward. Let us hear what it wants. I'm very glad that, and I think that this being in denial, RSS obviously also has a political agenda.
Why doesn't the
RSS
RSS then come out strongly and say very strongly, we disapprove of these people who are acting in the name of the
Yes,
Hindus?
we disapprove. RSS has disapproved these people who acted like that in violence, and they should be punished. It is the job of the state government to arrest the culprits
they
and
seem
punish
to be
them.
having some kind of political patronage
It's the
and
emphasis.
encouragement.
It's the emphasis. You see, Sagarika, if you say just one line saying that it should not, he should not have been murdered on mere suspicion. If you're going to say that this statement, on mere suspicions, nobody should be murdered. And then go on, the rest of the statement is about cow slaughter and how bad it is. You see, then what impression are you going to give?
You have to say zero tolerance on this.
When such a ghastly incident happens, what should be the emphasis?
What?
You have a problem with cow slaughter? No problem.
Ban
you
it.
discuss it.
Ban cow slaughter.
There are laws of the country.
There is a region.
It's a non-justiciable directive principle. It's not a fundamental right. That's what our constitution makers have made it. They haven't made it a fundamental right.
There are people who encourage the beef festivals. In 2012 in Osmania there was a beef festival. After that there was genuine beef festival.
Eating of beef is not illegal.
No, I don't say that. I say that how you encourage the beef festivals. How can you encourage the beef festivals? You are hurting the sentiments of the millions of
laws,
the people.
laws are
but
in
once
place,
this is the part of the directive principle, and I'm adding
hurting sentiments does not mean you take recourse to violence.
Who approves that violence? We are not approving the violence. I am saying that J.D. Larry, two Muslim members in the Constituent Assembly debate asked that the protection of cows should be the part of fundamental rights. I am telling you that these Muslim members came to support. Most of the Muslim rulers banned the cow slaughter. Now it is a secularist force. It is certain ultra-modern secularist forces.
But don't kill people for eating beef.
They are trying to impose and destroy the idea of India. Cow is a part of idea of India. If anybody is excluding cow from idea of India, he is doing injustice with the idea of India.
That's a debatable point.
No, that's
a debatable point. If that may be your view of the idea of India. Some may believe that a beef festival is the idea of India.
So
some may believe that a beef festival is also the idea of India.
Introducing the cow as a part of the idea that is India. Now, the cow may be a part of India, but so is beef. Eating beef is also a part of the idea of India. So how do we resolve this problem? People have eaten beef for centuries here. And God knows, millennium. Now, what are we saying? There is a section of people who have a problem.
There is serious historical evidence showing that cow eating was there in the Vedic times. Including sage Yajnavalkya is supposed to have eaten cow.
It can be argued both ways.
It can be argued both ways.
Can it be resolved through arbitrary bans, through violence? Should be through discussions. If indeed you want to stop this eating beef, just like there is a very strong vegetarian campaign of getting people to slowly shift to vegetarianism.
But that is a matter of cultural choice. That's a matter of individual choice. You can do a campaign.
Can you just be muscular about it?
Why should you use the apparatus of the state?
I think that's a problem. Because you're going to run into problems when other people raise other issues.
Sagarika, we don't believe
and we've seen it with the meat ban.
Sagarika, Right. So are you going to then ban onions one day because it offends somebody's sentiments? Are you going to bring garlic one day because open the Pandora's box?
We've seen it happen in Bombay.
Right.
No, the Muslims can say ban liquor in Ramadan.
It's not just a Muslim issue. It's not just a minority majority.
Once you move from the arena of individual and cultural choice to the arena of legalistic bans and diktats, then you're opening the Pandora's box. As Ajoy is saying, start campaigns, start social awareness issues, not a problem. Yes. But once you start using the apparatus of the state and the apparatus of the law, then you are asking for trouble, because then it could open a Pandora's box.
Neither campaign nor the law is new. I think for the last 200 years, there is a campaign for the cow protection. Gorakshani Sabha, there were 3,000 Gorakshani Sabha in 19th century. All were connected with the Congress party, Congress leaders, Madan Mohan Malviya, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, everybody was connected with the Gorakshani Sabha. Secondly, in directive principle, it was added. RSS was not the part of the Constituent Assembly when it was added in the directive principle of state policy.
Right.
So it is not the exclusive agenda of RSS. It is agenda of the cultural agenda of the country. There might be certain people who might be eating beef in northeast India or certain part of the country. RSS is not for imposing the food habits.
In Bengal, people eat beef.
Oh, RSS is not for imposing.
There's no problem with culture.
No, even in Delhi, buffalo meat is allowed.
Why should you impose it on someone? Why should you impose it on someone?
There are 23 states in India where cow slaughter is banned. There are 23
but
states.
But eating cow is legal throughout India. So eating beef is legal throughout India. Cow slaughter is illegal.
Nobody is asking not to eat beef any part in Uttar Pradesh. If someone is eating beef and then you are killing someone, who is approving? Nobody has come to approve.
That is why the man got killed.
Those people who killed, they are the criminals.
Let's now look at the way forward. How can this tortured society of ours, this highly polarized society, this society which seems to be driven between Hindus and Muslims, how can we find a common ground?
No,
what's the way forward?
There is common ground. I mean, we've had common ground, you know, so we've coexisted.
Is it a leadership issue? Is it a leadership issue? Should the leaders now be bridge builders and not ratchet up identity on both sides?
But absolutely. But I also have to say that it's important to realize that there cannot be a way forward without truth, without reconciliation, without justice, and without reassurance. I mean,
from the very top.
Yes, from the very top.
It has to come from there.
Okay, the Prime Minister has to speak.
In the villages,
there is very happy coexistence, and people are on a day-to-day life. They don't have no enmity, and we all celebrate our
But the top has to send out the signal. Has to send the tone.
At this juncture, we need a very strong message.
The Prime Minister has to speak.
And
the
law
fact
and order
is that
place.
you know, is it really an issue that secularism has to reinvent itself simply from selective secularism, but also speak about Christian fundamentalism, Muslim all these are against modernity. So does secularism have to be part of the modern issue, not just selective secularism as he said?
We are, Sagarika, a modern nation. We want to be more modern, in fact.
Right.
Our founding fathers
which means
wanted
challenging
us to be a modern
fatwas,
nation.
challenging Christian
We cannot
diktats.
go back to history thousands of years ago and start searching for answers. We need to move forward.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll be the laughing stock in the world, and we have seen what has happened across the border. We have already seen what has happened to Pakistan of trying to search for answers in the past. Look what's happened to them. Do we want to land in the same mess, Sagarika?
How perception is breaching the democratic discourse. I am giving one recent example. There were incidents of attacks on church. And just go through the TV debates and the debates in the print media that Hindutva forces and the organized groups attacks on church. Now everything has come out. Now church people are accepting that this was not ideological attack or religious attack or communal attack. They were just simply crimes. So this is the reason that you don't go for a long-lasting solution, which you raised a very pertinent question. How can there be common ground? There is no Muslim poverty and Hindu poverty. There is a common poverty. There is no Muslim unemployment and Hindu unemployment.
The fact is, who is going to make this happen?
Common ground on secular,
who is going to make this happen? Unless the leaders speak in a bridge-building voice, unless the leaders speak in a unifying voice, I'm afraid the crowds on both sides will simply remain polarized, and we will remain in a crisis situation. It's boiling down at the end of the day to a crisis of leadership. The Prime Minister is refusing to talk on this issue. The leaderships on both sides are only ratcheting up communal rhetoric and identity politics. For the moment, the future of Hindu-Muslim relations in India looks grim, on the verge of a crisis. Thank you very much indeed to my panelists for joining me. Thank you for watching Capital View. We're back next week.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.